think the grill was calling my name. It's so hard to be inside when it's so nice outside. It's absolutely beautiful outside. The last thing I want to do is be cooped up in the studio all day making art and making videos and things. I'm going to wrap this one up really quick, and I want to talk about something that I think is actually pretty important. I did a blog post on it earlier in the month titled "Follow Your Dreams Even If You Gave Up a Long Time Ago." It's kind of an important post. The blog post was written relatively quick. It was something that came to my mind, and I thought that I needed to share it. Somebody needed to read it, or maybe I just needed to write it. If you'd like to read the whole blog post, I'll put a link in the description below, and you can go to my blog and read a little bit more detail of what it is I'm saying in this video. But I'm glad you're here. So yeah, 17-year-old me wanted to be an artist. Actually, I wanted to be an artist my whole life that I can remember. I always loved to draw and those sorts of things. And as time went on, it was the 1980s, and every myth and every cliche that you could think about as an artist was in my mind. I'm from a small town, so it's not something you hear about a lot. You don't know. I didn't really know any full-time artists, people making their living from making art and things, and being more of a realistic artist, not really associated at all with abstract. I just felt like people weren't really interested in my kind of work. Drafting was a trade that I thought I could go into that would at least let me draw and be creative. So yeah, drafting was probably a good choice for me. At least it seemed like it was. I visited a few art colleges. Never really felt like I fit in, but I still had this dream in the back of my mind that I wanted to be an artist, and I knew that I wanted to paint, but I didn't know how to go about doing it. There was a whole lot of other things that really stuck in my mind about, you have to die first before you sell anything, and just all the cliches and myths really came to mind. And 17-year-old me just said, just go be a draftsman and paint on the side. Looking back, I don't want to say it's regret, but looking back, it was probably not the best decision for me at the time. It seemed like it was, but my art has been a side hustle now since 1990, basically, when I started pursuing my degree in drafting. I'm thankful that I went into drafting. Don't get me wrong, I got that. I'm not working in the field now, but it gave me some skills that I think are useful to me today. Growing up where I grew up, and actually where I'm living today, people like me don't grow up to be artists, In my region, you work in a factory, you're a farmer, you might work in the medical field, but to make a living as a performer or an artist or a writer or any of these things just really don't seem possible. Well, at least it didn't in the early 1990s and late 80s. The internet hadn't come about yet, and at least to a mass level. I think we got our first, in fact, I got my first computer. It was a Packard Bell, my home computer. First one was a Packard Bell with dial-up on it, and that got me on the internet, and I still really wasn't, I don't think anybody knew what the internet was about then. So it seemed natural for me to be a draftsman, and after a few years of doing that, I realized I wasn't really making enough money for my family, and my wife was working, and basically it was like, well, just might as well chase the money if this is what I'm going to do. So I did, and I went into a factory job that paid well in this region, and I'm still there. The art is still a side hustle. It's not really a full-time thing yet, and I'm still following the dream. I still want to be an artist. In a lot of ways, I look at myself and say, I am an artist. I do work, I paint, I sell work. That brings up a whole nother can of worms. I'm thinking about doing another video on that one too, where I talk about full-time versus part-time, making your living, creatively and things like that. Seems to be always an argument amongst people about, are you really legit if you're not working full time, which I don't want to get into that right now. We'll do that later. In my way of looking at it, compromise was honestly the best option. It was go get a good job that pays the bills, has good health insurance, and allows me to be an artist on the side. Now, as the internet got better and it seemed like the world got smaller, it was easier to share your work with other people. And even in this community here on YouTube, it's really amazing how far the community reaches. Joshua Hubbard did a video on this recently that also talks about community, and he's absolutely right. It just, this community in YouTube is just amazing. The world got really small. You can talk to anybody anywhere, and Joshua tells it better than I possibly could, so I'll link to his video here so you can see it. But the boundaries of being in a small town for me are just, they're gone. Granted, it would be nice to be in a big town, big city, and do my art and go places and actually get FaceTime, because I think that's actually important too. We can't live in the computer. We can't always do our thing. As creatives, I think we need to get out and be seen doing things. The real takeaway from this video is not looking back and regretting anything. It would be easy for me to do. It'd be easy for me to say, gee, I should have went to art school, woe is me, blah, blah, blah. And I do that from time to time. I get down, I start thinking maybe I've really made some mistakes, and I've done it today. Doing this video today was really getting to me. And I didn't think I'd be able to pull something off. And I come back in from a break and I realized, just do something. You gotta do something that really, it may not sound like a big deal to me, but somebody watching this, your audience is what I'm thinking in my mind. Your audience, there might be one person that needs to see this. And I'm very grateful for the 142 subscribers that I have right now. And I can't help but think there's at least one of you that possibly needed to hear this today. Dream big, fail often. Always be doing what you want to do, regardless of your situation. If you have to go to work for good health insurance, then by all means go to work for good health insurance. But don't think that that's the only thing you got to do. Cut your sleep down. Cut your sleep down to 6 hours if you have to, or I don't want to say less than that, but 6 hours. Give yourself 6 hours of sleep. Work 40 hours a week or a little bit more. Commute, whatever that is. Come up with a schedule that works for you and follow your dream. Do what it is you want to do with your life. Don't be defined by your job or your surroundings. We talked a little bit about that in last week's video, but if you like this video, hit the subscribe button, give me a like, tap that bell so you'll be notified. I try to do these every Monday, 1:30 Eastern. Follow your dreams. That's really all I got. I'll see you next week. Later. That was a horrible ending.